Welcome back to another Skyrim mods video. In this video I will be using just about 10 mods, maybe even less depending on how deep you want to get into overhauling your Skyrim, but a lot of you are nearing 4,000, so that shouldn't be much of an issue. You're probably going to want all 10. And with just these 10 mods, you can completely change the way that you play and look at Skyrim with modern animations. For everything from simple movement animations to combat animations and even simple magic animations that you guys usually ask me about. With these mods, you won't need to go around grabbing tons of different animations for every single weapon, every single movement. It'll all be in big mods with small download sizes. And whether you decide to use these mods as just a base for all the other animations that you want to add on top of this can be used as pretty much an all-in-one, so you don't need to grab any other animations besides these. So let's just dive right in. The first mod up, focusing entirely on diverse movement animations, we have the mod Conditional armor type animations. Utilizing the function of this mod, NPCs and player characters will have dynamic animations based on the armor type, making for a more immersive experience. This mod does not, however, affect your gameplay in any way, so you don't have to worry about incompatibilities. And you also don't have to worry about heavy armor now making your character slower, or light armor allowing you to move a little more quicker. The heavy armor version is called Leviathan, while the light armor version is called Vanargan, which I may have maybe mispronounced. Never really count on me to pronounce names or words correctly that are especially part of a fantasy game. I will always fail. These overhaul every aspect of animations when you equip the armor, focusing entirely on a chest piece. So if you have heavy gauntlets or boots, but a light chest piece, you will still use Vanargan animations. These animations also change up the idle animations on top of the walking, running, and sprinting animations. And the Ghost animations are special because they require 75 skill and 1 Magicka school. But speaking of magic, we have a mod that is an all-in-one for all magic animations, so you don't need multiple mods. This mod is called TESO Animations Sorcerer. This is definitely one of my most asked about animation mods. This mod alone touches on every aspect of being a mage, just in case you like playing a mage character in Skyrim. From master level spells, continuous fire spells like flames, or even using staves, while not completely making it look like you're playing a completely different game, especially considering these are modeled after the animations used in Elder Scrolls Online, which I do happen to hate by the way. But only the gameplay side of it. I never liked already having maximum damage and relying on skills too much, but I do love the animations and also the textures of everything used in that game. These magic animations even extend to one-handed weapon animations, so as long as you still have magic in your hand, these will take priority. This mod also does not require dynamic animation replacer or open animation replacer, so that can be a good and bad. Good because nothing will ever override it, bad thing is because nothing will ever override it. This mod will always take priority because not a lot of animations come with the ESP like this mod does. This next mod is definitely a must-have, especially for the later parts of this video. This mod is called Smooth Moveset. This mod adds dynamic reaction to your character along with new idle animations, depending on if your character is currently in combat or just relaxing in the town. And while this mod does overhaul the idle animations, it gives every single weapon its own unique idle animation, like you'll see certain weapons resting on your shoulder or you'll be holding it at hip length in case the weapon is too heavy. This mod goes even further than most animation mods and overhauls the draw animations for weapons so that it blends well with your new idle animations. If you're currently not in combat when you draw your weapon, your character will instantly lower the weapon and go into your relaxed idle before combat. But if you lock onto an enemy or you begin combat using True HUD, you will automatically go into battle ready stance, also changing your strafe movement for combat. But the moment your target dies or you just untarget your current person, if you're using true directional movement and happen to untarget, your character will immediately relax, going back into idle animation. And even if you happen to be a rare species and happen to not be using True HUD, you don't need it to fully use this mod. As soon as combat starts, the animations will take over and put you into combat ready stance. And the diversity of this mod is the main reason why I highly recommend it, so you don't have one animation for every weapon. Speaking of diverse animations, this next mod is simply called Dynamic Sprint. This mod, as the title suggests, changes the sprint animations for your character as well as NPC with the weapon drawn, but only if you're currently using conditional armor types like I recommended. Otherwise it will overhaul every sprint, even the unarmed sprint. Even though this mod is called Dynamic Sprint, it is not called that because it adds new animations to weapons, but because of how it implements it with Smooth Moveset. It was made for that mod and it's the reason why I put them right next to each other. The dynamic reason in my opinion is because this mod can also change and determine if you're currently in combat and change your animations accordingly to the change of scenery. Your character quickly goes from a relaxed sprint that builds up speed to a battle ready stance while sprinting, so your attacking animations don't look so awkward. And honestly, with that, your movement has been overhauled with just 3 simple mods. But up next, we have kind of honorable mentions. These mods aren't really needed, but I definitely recommend them. This mod is called Sonderbains Animations All-in-One. Now this mod isn't really a mod, it's more so a vortex where you can install all the Sonderbains animation in just one click and pretty much overhaul all the NPC animations for sitting animations, or really just changing up how they interact with objects like leaning on rails or even leaning on walls. Disclaimer though, these animations generally center around female characters. That's kind of what Sonderbains focuses on, but at least it works for NPCs as well. And honestly, if you don't grab any of them, you at least need the modern sitting animation, because it overhauls table transition animations. Sitting animations all NPCs use while sitting down and also standing up, because they definitely looked so awkward before. But another one that you can also add on top of this is the animation mod called NPC Animations Remix. This mod goes into deeper details with overhauling NPC animations and increasing your immersion. But not like conditional armor type animations, this mod is completely immersive because it makes NPCs react with the world around them. You will now see them swaying side to side, or maybe just throwing their arms about at people, or even pointing just to show their emotion while they're currently talking, or just interacting with objects around them. You can also find these animations working on NPCs based on their personality traits or just what the mod author thinks the character would act like. So childish or annoying NPCs like maybe Sorcerer will use children animations. But speaking of that, children and carriage drivers also have their own specialized animations, but that is a separate mod. But honestly, neither one of these have an ESP, so if you wanted to, you could just grab it and not worry about much. But honestly, you probably won't see them too much considering they are a rare sight out of Skyrim. And that brings me to another fact. Why does no one have kids? You would think during this time that everyone would be having babies left and right. But up next, another small mod that is honorable mention, but this mod is called Ultimate Animated Potion. With this mod installed, your character and NPCs will now show the animation when they're drinking the potion, along with the new meshes that the model of the potion uses. If you have the correct patch, then you get Elsopa potions. When you click the potion, it will automatically close their menu and also holster your weapon while you drink the potion. And with that simple movement and immersive mods are out the way, now we focus on overhauling NPCs and their combat animations so you can make combat interesting. And with that being said, my personal recommendation is Elden Ring Moveset Collection. Even though there is a lot of big animation packs that you could use, this is definitely the biggest and most expansive one that you can use to enhance your Skyrim. And you can also make these animations only for NPCs, just in case you want to make something special for yourself. These NPCs will take full advantage of Scar, which is in fact the mod that is needed to make these animations possible. If you back up a lot with your character during combat, taking advantage of the distance, NPCs will notice and lunge with more power attacks than usual. But if you stay close, NPCs will continuously attack you. And if you don't have a mod changing how stamina works with normal attacks, that can kind of turn into a nightmare. But once you get used to these new attack animations and you use this mod a lot, you get around it, and it makes enemies much more interesting to fight. Because just like in real life, you can bait them into performing certain actions and then counterattack. And while this video does focus on third person, you're definitely going to find some times when you're in first person, so let's overhaul those. This mod is called Modern First Person Animation Overhaul. Now I'll be the first to admit, comprehensive first person animation overhaul is definitely more expansive. But if you simply just want to overhaul your first person animations, just in case you end up in first person while focusing majorly on third person, this is the mod that you want to go with 100%, because you can pick and choose which animations you want to install, so that leaves it with very little incompatibilities, because these animations are also fully immersive in my opinion, adding in tons of new animations as well as new attack speeds while in first person to make the animations fit the current weapon equipped. What I really like about this mod though is depending on your field of view, the weapon when attacking will never fully leave your screen like in vanilla Skyrim. Instead, you can fully see your character swinging your weapon in every direction. And while this mod does overhaul combat just a little bit to fit the new animations, not a complete overhaul, it doesn't change the fact that if you want to abuse the normal into power attacking with no cooldown, you still can, but with these cool new animations making it seem perfectly normal, but still a little overpowered. And as I mentioned previously, you can now dual wield block. If you want to do the new dual wield attacks, you have to first normal attack and then you can left click. And then when you left click, it will go into the dual wield attack animation. And it just so happens that the dual swords animation looks like scissors. And now for the final mod of the video, completely overhauling third person combat animations. This mod is called For Honor in Skyrim. This is also one of my most asked about mods, and with this installed, you will completely change the way you play. With this mod, you don't even need a dodge mod or even a poise mod to stagger enemies. All of that is introduced into this one small mod. This mod adds in new attacking animations for every weapon inside of Skyrim, and even some animated armory weapons like pikes if you happen to use that. And every weapon has their own dodge animation that can further be comboed into a dodge attack. They also have iframes, so you can dodge big attacks with this, but those dodge attacks also come with sprint attacks that never really do much damage, but they definitely are useful and allow you to combo into further attacks, even to dodge if you detect danger, which is what makes them so amazing. But in my opinion, the sprint attacks are just to close the distance. For Honor and Skyrim also has different attack animations depending on the combo that you use, so if you do a normal power attack, it will look different from a normal attack, if that makes sense. And while there are tons of animations for every single weapon, they aren't endless, so you will eventually find one loop, but you don't have to worry too much about that, especially if you change your weapons a lot. This mod also introduces directional attacks and a counter system, so if your character is moving back and you time it, you can do a time block into a time parry. This will knock the enemy down that you currently hit them with depending on how many times you hit them, and your character, if you click again, will immediately follow up with another attack, stabbing them further into the ground. Every animation has their own knockback and knockdown animations, so you don't have to worry about not having the full effect if you're using a dagger. You will also have the same effects. With this mod installed, every weapon inside of base Skyrim, including mod added weapons, will have new animations that tie into the dynamic animations applied by this mod. The only time animations are reused is if you're using a shield with maybe a sword or dagger, but even then they have something unique about them. This mod alone, even though it is an animation mod, is pretty much a combat overhaul aspect in itself, so you only need Attack Modern Combat Overhaul to make the animations work. That was it for today, guys. If you would like me to do another type of showcase like HUD or maybe combat completely, just let me know. All mods down in the description, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Peace and love, guys.